Greetings. We've had 528 high school bowl matches. One remains. The winner of this match between the Rosemount Irish and the St. Paul Academy Spartans represents our entire area in a national tournament in Houston, Texas. Which will it be? Well, stick around for the next half hour of rapid academic action and you'll find out. We'll have that first question for you in just a moment.
Minnesota High School Quiz Bowl, a round-robin tournament of knowledge featuring high school teams from throughout the Incorporated, receives primary administrative and operational funding from the University of St. Thomas and St. Paul. Additional support is provided by the law firms of Robbins, Kaplan, Miller, and Cerisi, 3M, IO, EPA Audio Visual Incorporated, and by the participating teams. This telecast is produced by students in the television production program, part of the Arts and Communication Magnet at North Community High School, and is simulcast on KBEM FM 88.5. And now, here's the moderator of the Minnesota High School Quiz Bowl, George Leiter.
Welcome back. We're going to start tonight's contest with a series of rapid round questions which are worth from 5 to 20 points. Teams, let's kick it off with this 15-pointer. This may sound familiar to you. A national leader announces a plan to increase taxes just months after a campaign promised not to do so. We aren't talking about Bush.
Wodarz, Rosemount.
Honey Carlson.
No, we'll finish, but another world leader. What other country can't rely on reading its leader's lips?
Time.
That's Germany. But this 10-pointer, General H. Norman Schwarzkopf compared part of the coalition military strategy for liberating Kuwait to a foot...
Johnson, Rosemount.
Hail Mary.
Hail Mary's right for 10 points. For 5, when freed from prison by a South Carolina parole board, he said, I feel...
Jensen, St. Paul.
James Brown.
James Brown's right. I didn't get to do it. For 5 points. For 10 points, this Asian nation had its first democratic elections in 20 years.
Jensen, St. Paul.
Bangladesh.
Bangladesh, right, for 10. For 5, several U.S. senators got a mild scolding yesterday, and another...
Yuen, Rosemount.
Keating 5.
Keating 5 is right for 5 points. For 5, the crash of a small jet caused the deaths of 20 people who were headed for a cruise. In what country did this?
Tapp, Rosemount.
Chile.
Chile's right for 5. For 15, the Soviet Union is sending diplomats to this nation for the first time in 30 years.
Wodarz, Rosemount.
China.
I'll finish. Name this country that told the Russians to take a hike in 1961.
Gerke, St. Paul.
China.
No, it's Albania. For 10 points, this Eastern European nation's government approved an ambitious plan to return property...
Wodarz, Rosemount.
No, I'll finish. Nationalized by communists to its previous owners. What are pre-1948 property owners celebrating, and where are they doing that?
Smith, St. Paul.
Czechoslovakia.
That's right for 10. For 10, June 3rd is a date you should mark on your calendar if you're rich and interested in African literature. Sotheby's has announced plans to auction off the original manuscripts to all...
Johnson, Rosemount.
Huck Finn.
No, I'll finish. All major works by a South African author of Cry the Beloved Country.
Jensen, St. Paul.
Alan Payton.
Alan Payton's right for 10. For 10, some people are up in arms over the fact that the Stearns County officials spent nearly $1,600 to bring a man back to St. Cloud from Ohio because he had allegedly stolen an item worth $9.60. What was he accused of stealing?
Yuen, Rosemount.
Dentures.
That's incorrect. Can you take it SPA?
Jensen, St. Paul.
A cassette.
A pizza. How about this 20-pointer? Which colonial publisher of the New York Weekly Journal was arrested in November of 1734 for libel against William Cosby, the royal governor? He was acquitted in August of 1735.
Time.
That's John Peter Zenger. How about this 5-pointer? In sculpting, what name is given to the method of shaping an object by pouring a liquid into a mold, as in bronze or plaster reproduction of it?
Jensen, St. Paul.
Casting.
Casting's right for 5. For 15, in which Midwestern state is the Menninger Foundation?
Yuen, Rosemount.
Ohio.
That's incorrect. Can you take it SPA?
Smith, St. Paul.
Iowa.
Oh, it's in Topeka, Kansas. How about this 10-pointer? Give the term for a group of the 14 books of the Septuagint that are rejected in Judaism and considered...
Wodarz, Rosemount.
Apocrypha.
Apocrypha's right for 10. For 20, this is the name for the French political group originally known as... We won't have time to answer that question about the Jacobins. So let's take a second to check the score. And yep, it's shaping up to be a good one. St. Paul Academy is ahead right now, 50-30, but that's just one single question. So let's, before we go on to our second period of play, meet the teams in tonight's final contest. And let's begin with the Rosemount Irish.
Hi, I'm Phillip Johnson, a junior at Rosemount, and George, what are you doing, George? Do you want me to sing a song?
Yes, certainly.
Daisy, Daisy, give me your answer due. I'm half crazy, all for the love of you.
Hi, I'm Patrick Tapp, and I'm a senior at Rosemount High School. and I'd like to inform the entire world that I'm George's illegitimate love child.
It's okay, Pat. I know how you feel because I'm Bill Stock's illegitimate love child. And the two of us would like to sing you this quick song that we wrote. Super freaks, they're super freaky. Yeah.
George is a funky guy.
He likes to ask the questions. Bill Stock is the judge. He makes the tough decisions. Cause they're super freaks, they're super freaky.
And I think we have one other person to meet on the team.
Yes, and I'm Nathan Wodarz, a senior, and I know just how they feel because Elvis is my illegitimate love child.
All right, and there we have the imaginative, if not psychopathic team from Rosemount, and they're being coached tonight by Mary Keuttner at my side. We wish them luck, and now we swing the cameras over to meet the teams from the team from St. Paul Academy.
Hi, I'm Jesse Darley, and I'm a senior at SPA.
My name is Andrew Jensen, and I'm a junior at SPA.
Hi, my name is David Smith, and I'm a senior. I'm Chris Gerke, I'm also a senior at SPA.
And there is the Ready for Business team from SBA being coached tonight by the Iron Fist Sam Erman. And let's swing the camera across now and meet our judge in tonight's contest. That's Bill Stock, who's going to help us with the close calls as he has all season. And now we're going to swing the camera in still another direction and meet the coordinator of Minnesota Quiz Bowl. That's Vicki Griggs, and she's the one that's really put this all together and made it a success. Now let's go to that second period of play where 10-point toss-ups will earn the team's bonuses that are worth from 15 to 30 points. We begin with this 10-pointer. You might want your pencils. If the area of a circle is 72 square inches, what is the area of a sector of a 60-degree central angle inside the circle?
Wodarz, Rosemount.
12 square inches.
12 square inches, that's right. And here's your bonus. I'm sure that you could specify that the line "Good night, sweet prince" comes from Shakespeare's Hamlet. Given a quotation from another Shakespearean play, identify the play from which it comes for 10 points each. First, more sinned against than sinning.
King Lear.
That is right for 10. The Green-Eyed Monster.
Tempest.
No, that's Othello. And finally, it was Greek to me.
Julius Caesar.
That's right, so 20 points for Rosemount on that bonus. Now, how about this toss-up? Which U.S. state capital is named after the explorer who had several times attempted to colonize Virginia in present-day North?
Wodarz, Rosemount.
Raleigh's right for 10, and here's your bonus. For 5 points each, you can name the 4 chemical elements that begin with the letter G.
Captain, begin listing yours, please.
Gallium, germanium, gallium, gamium.
We had gadolinium and gold were the 2 you missed, but you're right on gallium and germanium. So 10 points on the bonus for Rosemount, and here's the 10-point toss-up. Which American high jumper in the 1968 Olympics won a gold medal with his innovative and unorthodox?
Tapp, Rosemount.
Fosbury.
Fosbury's right for 10 points, and here's your bonus. Chinese history in the 20th century has been, to say the least, tumultuous. Given a list of events from 20th century Chinese history, place them in chronological order from earliest to latest. 5 points for each one correctly placed, but a wrong answer stops you. And here they are. The Cultural Revolution, the Great Leap Forward, Mao dies, the 100 Flowers movement begins, and the Gang of Four is convicted.
Captain, begin your answer, please.
Great Leap Forward.
I will stop you right there. 100 Flowers was your kickoff, then the Great Leap, Cultural Revolution, Mao, and the Gang of Four. How about this 10-pointer? Identify the U.S. planetary mission, the first in 11 years, that was successfully launched aboard the Atlantis in
Yuen, Rosemount.
Magellan.
Magellan's right for 10. Here's your bonus. Identify this noted European Nobel Prize-winning author for 30 points after 1 clue, 20, or 10 if it takes all 3. During and after World War I, he underwent psychoanalytical treatment with Carl Jung for nervous collapse, and his works include The Journey to the East and Peter Kamenzian.
Carrie.
No, another clue. Winner of the 1946 Nobel Prize, his best-known character is Harry Haller. He wrote a popular and critically received book about a historical figure.
Bill Stock.
And next, other works by him include Siddhartha and Steppenwolf.
Herman Hesse.
That's right, for 10 points. Now, how about this 10-point toss-up, teams? Name the leaf-shaped structure that acts as a lid to prevent swallowed food from entering.
Tapp, Rosemount.
Epiglottis.
Epiglottis is right for 10 points, and here's your bonus. 1964 was a tumultuous year in the world. Answer the following questions about that year and this bonus. For 5 points, this comprehensive piece of legislation integrated public facilities, prohibited job discrimination, and simplified legal complaint procedures.
Hands, please.
Equal Opportunity Act.
No, it's the Civil Rights Act there. For 10 points, this nation exploded an atomic bomb, becoming the 5th nation to do so.
China.
That's right for 10. And for 15, this congressional resolution, prompted by a supposed North Vietnamese attack on a U.S. destroyer, empowered the president to take military action in response to aggression against U.S. forces.
Here's the Gulf of Tonkin resolution.
That's right. So a total of 25 points for Rosemount there. Now let's get to this 10-pointer. The new state was to be known as the state of Jefferson. In which U.S. state's legislature was it proposed that in 1915 that a new state be made of the Panhandle or Northwestern?
Smith, St. Paul.
Florida.
No, that's incorrect.
Wodarz, Rosemount.
Texas.
Texas is right for 10, and here's your bonus. American political history has been full of third parties. For 10 points each, give a presidential candidate in the year he ran. Or I'll give you that, and you identify his party. Henry Wallace in 1948.
American.
No, that's the Progressive. Next is Martin Van Buren in 1848.
Hands, please.
No, nothing.
That's the Free Soil. And finally, James Weaver in 1892.
Hands, please.
No, nothing.
That's the Populace. So no points on that bonus. Let's go now to this 10-pointer. Identify the New York-born poet, a major figure in the beat literary movement of the 1950s.
Smith, St. Paul.
Ginsberg.
No, I'll finish.
Yuen, Rosemount.
Kerouac.
No, it's Lawrence Ferlinghetti is who we're shooting for there. Here's a quick 10-pointer. What's the capital of Thailand?
Yuen, Rosemount.
That's correct for 10, and here's your bonus. Give the common name, given the common name, or you give the common name for each of these following compounds, given their chemical formulae, for 5 points each. First, NaHCO3.
Sodium bicarbonate.
That's right. HBrO3.
Hydrogen bromide.
Now that's bromic acid there. H2O2.
Hydrogen peroxide.
Hydrogen peroxide.
That one's right. And finally, CH3COOH.
Hands, please.
Ethyl alcohol.
No, that's acetic acid. You got 2 right there for 10 points, though. Now let's go to this 10-pointer. Which town and which state traditionally is the first to vote in a presidential?
Johnson, Rosemount.
Des Moines, Iowa.
No, I'll finish. And its voting booth opens just after midnight.
Time.
That's Dixville Notch, New Hampshire. That's a tough one. For 5 points, what measurement of a circle is given by the formula pi times d?
Johnson, Rosemount.
Area.
Incorrect.
Darley, St. Paul.
Circumference.
Circumference is right for 10, and here's a bonus for SPA. Beginning at the Pacific with British Columbia, 7 Canadian provinces border the U.S. For 5 points each, arrange them in the remaining 6 provinces in order from west to east, and a wrong answer stops you. And we get to finish at the end of this period, so let's...
Captain, begin your answer, please.
British Columbia, Alberta, Saskatchewan, Manitoba, Ontario, Quebec.
And we'll call it there. We needed New Brunswick at the end, but you got 25 points on the bonus. And that brings us to the end of our half. We're going to take just a second to tally that score, and we'll have it for you right after you watch a little bit about the magnet here at North that helps. Oh, we aren't going to do that. We're going to Bill Stock, who is going to tell us a little about the playoffs and how these 2 teams got here.
Well, it's been an interesting 2 weeks here, George. We had Burnsville taking on Mounds Park Academy. Burnsville came out ahead in that, but then lost to the team over here. Rosemount in the semifinals just earlier this evening. Rosemount beat Columbia Heights to get here. St. Paul Academy beat St. Anthony Village to get here, and Edina took on Apple Valley. And Apple Valley came out of that victorious. St. Paul Academy then just finished beating Apple Valley in the 7:30 match tonight, and so now we have the finals when the victorious team will head off to Houston, Texas to represent Minnesota in the National High School Quiz Bowl Tournament.
And there we go. We've got a score now for you at the end of one half. Rosemount has had a successful second quarter and has now had 175-75. So let's see what happens in this third period of play where, again, 10-point toss-ups are in bonus questions for the team that answers correctly. For 10 points, identify the OMB, the Presidential...
Yuen, Rosemount.
Office of Management and Budget.
That's correct for 10, and here's your bonus. Identify this composer for 25, 15, or 10, depending on how many clues it takes. Mad King Ludwig II was his greatest patron, and with his help built a theater at Beirut in which a festival is held annually celebrating his music.
Beethoven.
No, I'll go to the second clue. Among his greatest works are Der Meistersinger and Tristan and Isolde.
Answer, please.
Wagner.
Wagner's right for 15, so that takes us to this 10-point toss-up. Which term in physics designates a vector quantity that tends to produce movement of a body in the direction of its application?
Yuen, Rosemount.
Force is right for 10. During the course of Shakespeare's Hamlet, 6 people die, excluding the deaths of Rosencrantz and Guildenstern. Instead of just naming these casualties, I want you to name them in the order which they died during the course of the play, from first to last. We get 5 points each, but again, a wrong answer will stop you.
Captain, begin your answer, please.
Polonius, Ophelia, Gertrude, Laertes, Claudius, and Hamlet.
All right for 30 points. Terrific. Let's go now to this 10-pointer. Which European war lasted from 1618 to
Jensen, St. Paul.
30 Years' War is right, and that earns SPA a 30-point bonus. Lord Horatio Nelson was one of the greatest naval leaders in British history. For 10 points each, answer these questions about him. At what 1805 battle, which he won, did Nelson die?
Trafalgar.
That's right. For 10, what was Nelson's flagship at Trafalgar called?
Victory.
That's right. And who commanded the French fleet which lost at Trafalgar?
Captain, answer, please.
Villeneuve.
That's correct. All 30 points on that bonus. And here's your toss-up, another toss-up. Give the term for the 2 tubes leading to the lungs and located at the
Tapp, Rosemount.
Bronchi.
bronchi is right for 10. And here's a bonus for Rosemount. Oxygen is the most abundant element in the Earth's crust, making up almost 50% of it. For 5 points each, give the next 5 most abundant elements in the Earth's crust. Any order is fine, but a wrong answer will stop you.
Captain, begin your answer, please.
Silicone, iron, copper.
We'll stop you right there. Aluminum, calcium, and sodium were the other 3. 10 points on the bonus. Here's another toss-up, teams.
That's
Which,
5 points on the bonus.
all right, that's 5 points. Silicon and iron, I believe we had there, Judge. Which U.S. satellite launched in 1977 is the oldest satellite in space?
Yuen, Rosemount.
Telstar.
No, incorrect. Can you take it, SPA?
Gerke, SPA.
Solar Max.
No, it's Intelsat. How about this 10-pointer? Name the California-born author who won the Pulitzer Prize for Poetry.
Darley, St. Paul.
Steinbeck.
No, I'll finish in 1924, 1931, 1937, and 1943, and is closely identified with a region of New England.
Yuen, Rosemount.
Thoreau.
No, it's Frost there. How about this 10-pointer? In which U.S. state did a separate state named after Benjamin Franklin govern itself?
Wodarz, Rosemount.
Tennessee.
Tennessee is right for 10 points, and here's your bonus. Identify the American poet that penned these works. First, for 5 points, The Road Not Taken.
Frost.
Frost.
That's right. For 5, Grass.
Whitman.
No, it's Carl Sandburg. For 10, Fuzzy Wuzzy.
Whitman.
That's Rudyard Kipling. And finally, for 10 points, The Bells.
Whitman.
Now it's Edgar Allan Poe. You got 5 points on the bonus, and here's another toss-up, teams. In which city did Richard M. Daley, son of the political?
Gerke, St. Paul.
Chicago.
Chicago's right for 10, and here's your bonus. Here's a potpourri of questions about genetics. For 5 points, what early geneticist's work was recently been questioned due to his implausible accuracy?
Answer, please.
No answer.
That's Mendel. For 5 points, what was the term for a cross between a dominant pure animal, or what is the term for a dominant pure animal and a recessive one?
Hybrid.
Right. For 5 for 10, how many chromosomes are in a human gamete?
23. 23.
That's right, for 15 total points. Here's another toss-up, teams. Identify Thailand's official language.
Wodarz, Rosemount.
Incorrect. Can you take it, SPA?
Gerke, St. Paul.
Siamese.
No, it's Thai. For 10 points, give the word for the agents in the stock market who buy and sell stocks. And
Jensen, St. Paul.
brokers is right for 10. And for a bonus, identify this English monarch for up to 25 points, depending on how many clues it takes. He was probably the author of Greensleeves, and he wrote a book rebutting the views of Martin Luther called Assertions on the Seven Sacraments.
James II.
No, that's incorrect. His mother was Elizabeth of York, and he had an older brother, Arthur, who died at 15, thus paving the way for his coming to the throne.
Henry VIII.
That's right, for 15 points. Here's another toss-up, teams. If the number of pupils in a class decreases from 35 to 28, what is the rate of decrease?
Darley, St. Paul.
1/5.
We can take that, or 20%. That's good for 10. And here's your bonus. Give the nickname of a famous, given the nickname of a famous general. Identify him for 5 points each. First, Old Blood and Guts.
Patton.
That's right, the Desert Fox.
Rommel.
Correct, Vinegar Joe.
Stillwell.
And Old Fuss and Feathers.
Hancock.
Now that's Winfield Scott. 15 points on the bonus. Let's go to another toss-up. Which bright star in the constellation Orion derives its name from the Arabic
Wodarz.
Betelgeuse is right for 10, and that earns you this bonus question. Given the character from a well-known American novel, identify that novel for 5 points each. Roger Chillingsworth.
Scarlet Letter.
That's right for 5. Holden Caulfield.
Catcher in the Rye.
Catcher in the Rye.
Daisy Buchanan.
Go with it.
Great Gatsby.
Correct, and Henry Fleming.
Catch 22.
No, that's the Red Badge of Courage, but you got 15 points on that bonus. Let's go to this toss-up. When a deadlock developed at the Republican convention between the supporters of Leonard Wood and Frank Loden, which Ohio senator was?
Smith. St. Paul.
Harding.
Harding's right for 10, and here's your bonus question. Here's a biology bonus for 10 points. Give the 7-letter name for the membrane-bound organelles found only in cells of plants and algae.
Chloroplasts.
And we need plastids there. For 15 points, there are 3 varieties of plastids for 5 points each. Name them.
Answer, please.
Chloroplasts, cytoplasts, riboplasts.
That's chloroplast is right, chromoplast and leucoplast are the others. So 5 points, and that brings us to the end of this play. Let's check the score. It's still pretty close, 295 for Rosemount to 200 for St. Paul Academy. We finish now with a series of rapid round questions, again worth 5 to 20 points. Teams, let's begin with this 20-pointer. Built in the 1300s, it contains the Court of the Lions and the Hall of the Two Sisters, located in Granada.
Smith. St.
The
Paul.
Alhambra.
Is right for 20. For 15, identify the author of The Tragical History of Dr. Faustus and the Jew of Malta.
Smith.
Christopher Marlowe.
Right for 15. For 10, what's named France's busiest port?
Tapp.
Nice.
No, can you take it?
Gerke.
Kane.
No, Marseille. For 10 points, give the term for a commerce carried on within the borders of only one state.
Yuen, Rosemount.
Intradistrict trade.
Incorrect. Can you take it, SBA?
Gerke.
Intrastate commerce.
That's right for 10. For 5, what percentage is the equivalent of 2/25?
Wodarz, Rosemount.
8.
That's right for 5. For 10, in 1988, beneath which California city did geologists discover 2 major faults?
Jensen.
San Francisco.
Incorrect. Deep.
Wodarz.
Los Angeles.
That's right for 10. For 15, which valley did French and Belgian troops?
Gerke.
The Ruhr Valley.
Right for 15. For 15, which southern constellation, the largest of all constellations?
Gerke.
Southern Cross.
Incorrect. Delineates a sea serpent or sea monster.
Wodarz.
Serpentis.
It's the Hydra for 15 or for 20 points, according to Orson Welles' radio broadcast of H.G. Wells' War of the Worlds.
Gerke.
Martians have landed.
No, invaders from Mars are supposed to have landed in which fictional town in New Jersey?
Wodarz.
Clover's Mill.
That's right for 20. For 10, which is the argument in the heart of the Baconian controversy?
Wodarz.
Whether Shakespeare wrote Shakespeare's play.
That's right for 10. For 20, Warren Harding said he liked to go out in the country to do this.
Smith.
Bloviate.
Bloviate's right for 20. For 10, name the busiest port in the European community, one that is located in Holland.
Wodarz.
Rotterdam.
Correct for 10. For 5, what is the sum of the squares of 3 and 12?
Wodarz.
154.
No, can you take it?
Jensen.
153.
Right for 5. For 10, through which country did Germany attack France in 1940?
Jensen.
Correct for 10. For 5, which country did Nikkei Index close at a record?
Smith.
Japan.
Right for 5. For 10, in which field can one earn these degrees? LLB, LLM, LLD.
Smith.
Law.
Correct for 10. For 10, give the term for the open country bearing grass, bushes, or shrubs characteristic of parts of...
Yuen.
Plains.
No, it's southern Africa.
Jensen.
Prairie.
Incorrect. Velt for 10 points. Who was the U.S. president who was when the Saturday Night Massacre took place?
Jen Smith.
Richard Nixon.
Right for 10. For 10, in which American play is the horn of Laura's unicorn broken, allowing her to momentarily break out of an unreal world?
Gerke.
Glass Menagerie.
Right for 10. For 10, identify the U.S. state capital founded in 1630 by English Puritans and named after the English town of Lincolnshire. The city is on the Charles River.
Smith.
Austin.
Correct for 10. For 15, name the first important building to be made with cast iron framework and prefabricated parts. It is built to house the Great Exhibition of 1851 in...
Crystal Palace.
Crystal Palace is right for 15. For 10, in a circle, how many degrees are in the central angle of a sector whose arc is 1/4 of the circle?
Wodarz.
90.
That's right for 10. For 20, identify the curve named after the American economist that designates...
Yuen.
Laffer.
Laffer's right for 20. For 20, in this 1886 novel, the main character, Michael Henchard, gets drunk at the fair and sells his wife.
Were Yuen.
No. To a sailor. He takes temperance pledge and becomes a wealthy politician. Suddenly his wife returns with a child, Elizabeth Jane, who he believes is his. What is...
Jensen?
Madam Butterfly.
No, mayor of Casterbridge for 10 points. Off the coast of which country is the largest group of coral reefs in the world?
Yuen?
Australia.
Correct for 10. Which battle ended the surrender of the remaining German troops on February 2nd, 1943, completing...
Wodarz?
Battle of the Bulge.
No, completing the Russian...
Jensen?
Stalingrad.
Right for 15 for 10. Name this author whose works the ABC miniseries War and Remembrance is based.
Yuen Rosemount?
Herman Wold.
The 10 points for 15 points. Identify the architect who noted for the JFK Library in Dorchester, Massachusetts.
Yuen?
I am paid.
Right for 15 for 10. Identify the term for the managerial practice of borrowing heavily to take over a company.
Gerke?
Leveraged buyout.
That's right for 10 points. For 10 points. In a circle, a central angle has a measure of 90 degrees.
Nope.
We don't have time, and we're finished. We'll get the score. It's going to be take a little while to figure that out. And while we grab that final score, and it is going to be a close one, we want to just take a second to have you look at the sponsors that help bring us the Minnesota High School Quiz Bowl. And while you watch that, we'll tabulate that score and be right back.
The Minnesota High School Quiz Bowl Incorporated receives primary administrative and operational funding from the University of St. Thomas and St. Paul. Additional support is provided by the law firm of Robbins, Kaplan, Miller, and Cerisi, 3M, Super Value, the Minnesota AFL-CIO, EPA Audio Visual Incorporated, and by the participating teams. This program is made possible with the assistance of the Minneapolis Public Schools Department of Vocational Technical Education and Department of Educational Media Services, the Arts and Communication Major at North Community High School, KBEM Minneapolis 88.5 FM, and Studio North Television. Meals for the Quiz Bowl crew are provided by Taco Bell, 425 West Broadway, Subway, 521 West Broadway, and McDonald's, 1256 Penn Avenue North. Transmission and distribution of this program is provided by MTN, the Minneapolis Television Network, and by your local cable company.
We're back, and boy, it is talk about close. Our scorekeepers are still battling it out, and we're figuring, it looks like right now what we've got is Rosemount pulled up that Laffer curve question at the end to pull things out, 410 to SBA's 390. And we hope that's the finals, because that's about all the time we have. We do want to bring out Bill Stock and help us distribute the trophies to a valiant comeback attempt by SPA and a runner-up in this year's best of 48 teams, being number 2, and after a match that close is not bad, so we congratulate the team from St. Paul Academy. And now we can go swing the cameras over and meet the team from Rosemount that held on at the very end and is going to go represent our region in Houston, Texas at the national competition, the Texaco Academic Championship. So we congratulate them. We thank you for joining us for all this exciting action, and we hope you'll join us next year when we bring you equally exciting Minnesota Quiz Bowl action. Until that time, this is George Leiter saying so long.